What's up guys, my name's Liam and today we're going to be taking a look at the brand new ATK F1 Ultimate Blazing Sky. I've been reviewing these budget style gaming mice on my channel for a little over a year now, and I keep talking about how they just keep getting better and better, and I've often said it's only a matter of time before they crack the code. So have they finally done it with this one, and more importantly, is this going to be the perfect gaming mouse for you? Let's check it out. So starting out, here's a look of what the box that it comes in looks like. And inside the box, it does come with this documentation. Here is a look at the 8K receiver. If you do get the F1 Ultimate Edition, the 8K receiver is included. And it does have an LED strip up here in the front. You do have options to change that in the software or even completely turn that off. We will get into that later on in the video. It does have a rubberized bottom there, a USB-C cable. And as I took the mouse out of the box, it did not come with skates on it. So it does come with two sets of these larger set style skates. And it does come with these rubberized grips. So when coming over to the mouse, starting at the bottom, real simple and straightforward stuff here. You got your power button down here to power it on or off. I am a huge fan of the skate design. I'm really glad that they went with a bigger set skate design from left to right. It does look like there's plenty of room to put any type of aftermarket skates on here. And the skates that do come included on this mouse, I'm not really a huge fan of. They are kind of these harsher style feeling skates, so they don't feel as buttery smooth as the 100% Virgin PTFE skates, although I do feel like they do have a little bit of a quicker glide. The one real unfortunate thing about my copy of this mouse is it very clearly feels like it was rushed. There's just some things about it that don't feel as tight or as buttoned up as they should be. Now, though I have not confirmed anything, the just overall general feeling of this mouse, it feels very similar to the Sprime PM1, the Ninjutsu Sora V2. So it does feel like it is using, if not the exact same, very similar types of materials with my experience. And starting out with the coating on here, the coating on my copy, you know, there's a coating on here. It feels okay, but I do kind of feel like they were either light with it or just something about the coating feels a little bit off. It doesn't feel as grippy as I feel like it should be. And at this point, I've gotten, you know, several different types of mice, no matter who the manufacturer is from, if you get different colorways, stuff like that. The coating on them generally does feel like there's some type of a variance there. So I'm not sure if I just got a bad copy, but again, it's not terrible. It just feels like the coating's a little bit on the lighter end, so it's almost not really even there. I did find that if my hands kind of heat up or something like that, it does feel a bit more grippy, but just having a normal drier set style of hands, it does feel like it's a little bit more on the slippery end. I also did mess around with getting my hands wet with this coating, and if I got them just a little bit like damp or moist, it seemed like it got a little bit more grippy, but if I got them like really wet, then it did become a little bit more slippery at that point. So hopefully the coating is something that they can improve upon. And another issue that I am having, unfortunately, is I am having some shell integrity issues. When I first got this out of the box, it felt great for a while. After about a day of use, I did notice some flex over here on the shell, just a little bit of movement. And then the more that I kept using it, it just kept getting worse. And now I'm getting this creaking noise that's coming over here from the thumb side. And just to be clear, I was not pressing all over this mouse. I wasn't trying to stress test or anything. I was just using it in normal daily use. And the issue with how I kind of grip the mouse just kind of seemed to develop on its own there. So kind of unfortunate, but again, hopefully something that they will be able to button up in the future. I did make a post about it on my Twitter. I did see some people saying that they're not having the issue with their mouse. I did also see other people stating that they do have the issue. So at this point, it just kind of seems like it's a toss-up and it's a mixed bag. I did end up opening this up, obviously, to do testing and to get some shots of the internals. And I did see if there's anything in here where I was able to adjust it myself. It doesn't look like it will be able to fix itself without any type of aftermarket modifications. This is using the Omron optical switches, and these are by far my favorite opticals that are out there. They do feel good in this mouse, but I feel like the click implementation on this, for my personal taste, is not exactly the best. And I'll show you exactly what I'm talking about here. If you were to play further up on the mouse, the switches, they do feel lighter, but they do have quite a bit more play there, as you can see. And though this does have a pretty aggressive hump, I kind of found with my grip, I was clicking it mostly from the back. And the thing is if you do click this up in the front, the clicks feel lighter, but it very obviously becomes noticeable on it getting heavier the further that you do come up towards the back. So if I was doing some type of aggressive claw, there are times I was clicking it like this. It just kind of has a weirder overall feeling. Again, not that it's terrible or anything. I really do like the switches in here, and the clicks do feel good. It's just, I'm not sure if it's just the aggressive angle of these switches or something like that. Hopefully that's something that they could possibly button up. But again, just the fact that when you come to the back, it just kind of gives you a weirder, awkward, more stiff feeling click. But besides that, the clicks, they don't have a whole lot of play on them, so they do feel pretty solid. I feel like I could be getting just a very minor switch grinding there if I'm pushing back and forth on this really hard. Nothing that I noticed or came across in game with the way that I was using this or gripping it, but definitely something I figured I'd bring to your attention. And the rest of the click implementation all the way around, even though it does get stiffer at the top, I don't notice any terrible rocking or teetering or anything like that. The scroll actually does feel good. It does have these light defined steps, a little bit on the stiffer end, but I feel like it's tensioned nicely. It's not too loose or not too tight. And the center click here, a little bit on the stiffer end as well, but no problems with actuating it or using it in game. The side buttons on this unit, they're not horrible, but they're not my favorite. If you were to press them from the rear, they kind of have a bit of play, and I don't know what it is about these side buttons. They kind of have like a just mushier type of feeling overall to me a little bit. Now, when you do click them, the clicks on them are nice and light and tactile, but you do notice a big difference if you're clicking it from the back as opposed to up the front. In the front here, it does feel a little bit more tensioned up here in the front. So even though these side buttons are not terrible, I definitely feel like they could use some work. They are not my favorite set style of buttons out there, but the placement of them is pretty good. I do like how they have a gap here in the middle, and they seem to work fine for me overall in game. The build quality on my unit is clearly not great. I feel like everything is in the right place. They just need to button a couple things up and just improve on it just a little bit more. And I feel like this could be in a really solid space. So let's go ahead and drop the click and the build quality sound check. So the F1 Ultimate does come with a 250 milliamp hour battery in it. Again, like I said, when you get this out of the box, it does come without these skates on it. So once you actually do put these skates on this mouse, on my scale, it looks like it's coming in at approximately 40.3 grams. And the balance on this actually feels great. Has perfect front to back and left to right. For the software, they are using this new web-based solution. It seems to be what a lot of these companies are switching to. This first tab, you have the change key setting. Over here, real simple stuff where it allows you to change your DPI. Next, on the performance setting tab, this is where all the important stuff is. There is this Apex firmware professional esports mode. I mean, it kind of has an explanation of everything right underneath it. They are claiming with this mouse, you are getting a 0.399 millisecond click latency time, and obviously I turned this mode on to make sure you're getting the best performance possible. It does say that this can reduce the battery life on the mouse, and then also I would recommend using this ultra long range mode. This option also does reduce the battery life, and just to be clear, I was getting a full day of use out of this battery running 8K. No problems at all. Over here for the liftoff distance setting, it does allow you to adjust the liftoff distance in 0.1 increments here. Though I have not been able to confirm what this keystroke anti-shake delay setting does. I do believe this might be some type of an anti-slam click filter. If you were to make any adjustments on this, it recommends setting it 4 milliseconds or higher. If you do set it down to 2 milliseconds or 1 millisecond, you do get this pop-up here stating that it can cause some inconsistencies with your clicking. I don't currently see an option in here to be able to adjust the click to bounce setting, but with this Apex Shark esports mode, I would imagine that you're going to be getting the lowest click latency possible if you're using this mode. For the performance of this mouse, I did try hooking it up to my XLAT and I was having a bunch of issues with it. As I was running the test, it was showing that the numbers were right in line with what they were claiming at the 0.399 millisecond, but I just kept getting all these really weird random spikes that was really messing up the end result on this test. So I'm not sure if this has something to do with that anti-shake delay setting that's in here, some type of inconsistency with the XLAP firmware or something like that. But if this does ever get updated in the future, I will make sure to let you know. And just to be clear, this is actually running the CompX firmware solution. I have been testing this out with other manufacturers as well, and I do notice that the numbers are falling right in line with what they claim on these other mice. When it comes to the shape, for my personal preference, I have just absolutely fallen in love with this shape. As you can see, the curved profile on the side, it's not too aggressive or anything like that. The sides on this, they do feel a little bit flatter. This does have a very aggressive mid hump there, which typically I'm not a fan of, but for my grip style, this just seems to work out almost perfectly for me. And it has actually a really low front end. So when claw gripping this mouse with how I grip it, it is something like this. And I actually go a little bit more further forward, but just something about the grip of this, the way that it just fits in your hands and my hands just naturally fall on it. It just feels so comfortable with the height on the sides and everything. Again, it just really feels great. I don't feel like it's too wide on the top or in the rear. So the overall width of this and everything about it has truly been working out perfectly for me. One thing that I did kind of have to adjust to with this mouse, if you look at it next to the Lamzu Maya and put them next to each other, you can see that the sensor placement on this, it feels a little bit lower than what I was used to. I don't feel like this is anything that's like deal breaking or anything though, personally. It's something that I just slightly noticed when I got it, but I felt like I pretty easily got used to it. So starting out, when comparing it to the Lamzu Maya, starting out over here on the bottom, if you put these mice together, the ATK, it is a little bit wider down here in the grip width on the bottom, but the curve profile on these, not really too far apart. It does feel a little bit wider on the back of the ATK mouse. On the back, the top curve profile from the top mid down the sides is really not that far apart on these. The one difference, however, is on the Maya, it does feel a bit wider over here at the top, considering the fact that the Maya does kind of flare out more aggressively from the bottom of the top of the mouse, where again, the ATK does feel flatter. But looking at both these from the side, you can clearly see that the ATK mouse does have that much more aggressive mid hump. All right, next up, when looking at it next to the Razer Viper Mini Signature Edition, all around the ATK mouse, it does feel like a bigger size mouse than the Razer Viper Mini. As you can see on the bottom, it does have more aggressive curves over here on the Razer Viper Mini, so the ATK does feel a bit wider. Even when you're looking at them from the rear, you can see the Viper Mini does have a more aggressive fall off from the top down to the sides, where the ATK does feel a little bit more wide at the top. I do feel like on the F1 Ultimate that you do have that taller, more aggressive mid hump. All right, then finally, when looking at it next to the Razer Viper V3 Pro, I honestly feel like these do feel pretty similar in the hands to one another. Not exactly identical, but all around, I would say that the Razer Viper V3 Pro does feel like a bit of a larger mouse. On the top of the mouse, with how the Razer Viper V3 Pro tapers off down the sides, it does feel wider in the hands and just like a larger mouse when you're actually holding it. But when looking at both of them from the side, you can clearly see that these both do have that pretty aggressive hump. Does this have main potential? Absolutely, without a question. Very clearly, there's some issues here. There's a lot of things that they need to fix up and button up. Pretty frustrating that the build quality on this unit is just kind of all over the place. But again, they're really not that far from making what's in my opinion is going to be a hit. I really feel like a lot of people are going to love this thing, and hopefully you do get one that feels better and it doesn't have the build quality issues that I have. And another questionable thing is going to be how is ATK's customer service experience going to be if you do happen to get a mouse with all the types of same build quality issues that I have. But obviously with the quality of my unit, this is almost there, but I would have to consider it in its current state a miss. So if you have any questions or feel like I left anything out, please let me know down in the comments below. If you have enjoyed watching this video and are interested in seeing more videos like this in the future, please drop this video a like and subscribe to my channel. And thank you guys so much for watching. I look forward to seeing you in the next one.